Hey folks, you want to know what's happening next with Meteor? Well, we're going to get right to it and tell you all the different things that we know about that we can share with you. But there are also some new things that are happening in the JavaScript world, and we want to share those too. And finally, if you stick around towards the end, Jan Kuster is here with us again this week. So, hey, Jan. And he has the second part of his Linktree clone tutorial that he's going to build live here with you today. So with that, we're at episode number 48 of This Week in MeteorJS, a weekly podcast from the Meteor Dispatches podcast. And I did it again. I did it last week. My name is Lim Gafar, streaming to you live from New York City.
I'm Jan Vuejs, streaming to you from Prague.
And I'm Jan Kuster, streaming to you this time from the northern sea of Germany, from my holiday vacation season, whatever this is.
And with that, we're going to go straight to the news. I just want to let you know that we missed out on something last Tuesday, not this Tuesday past, but the Tuesday before. As you all know, last week, or maybe you don't know, but last week we had the official Meteor 3.0 release. And we also had an incident. What I didn't realize were the awesome powers of Meteor software to, do a big promotional gala in New York City. A meteor that was traveling at about 38,000 miles an hour exploded over the skies of Manhattan. And we know where that came from. It was the guys at Meteor Software, and that was their way of saying, boom, 3.0 is here. So, if you want to check out the article on that, it's a real thing that happened, totally coincidental. You might want to, see whether or not you can get these guys to set up your party the next time. All right. And Jan, what do we got next?
Yeah, so there is definitely something that everybody of us is useful for. That is the update on the ECMA script for this year. And I've collected out of this very contentful and informative article 3 most important changes that might be also useful for every one of us. And I shared them on my screen. So if you quickly enable my screen, I can show you what they are. So the first thing is we have now finally promises with resolvers. And this is quite the most relieving feature, which allows you to write promises now finally in the way that, sorry, let me show you where was it? Oh my God, where is it now? There it is. So if you want to have a promise, the resolve and the reject function outside of the promise, then you can defer the code that is usually written inside the promise now finally outside of the promise, which makes things much easier to comprehend, because now it's a little bit like the future pattern which you did in Meteor, where you can access from outside of the promise what's inside, or you can pass things to this outside. And now we can create much cleaner code and much more versatile code. This is the first one. The second one is array grouping. So you now have an object and you want to group an array into this object by certain patterns. So let's say you have this array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can now, with the new object group by, you can have a callback that allows you to say, I split this array into even and odd. And then you have your rule, which on which basis you want to split it up. And then the result would look like this. You have odd, 1, 3, 5, even, 2, and 4. And these of the names of the properties. And you can do the same with a map. So a very common operation that everybody of us does from time to time, having an array split it up by some groups. And this is now part of the JavaScript core, basically. So that's, at least in my opinion, very useful. And the third one, this is for the regex gurus and the regex jugglers here around, is the v flag. And the v flag allows you to do a set notation with properties of strings. And this is crazy because I don't know if you know a little bit about set theory, but this is so powerful. And if you know how set theory works, like union, difference, subtraction, intersection, symmetric difference, and all that stuff, this is super helpful, especially when it comes to object-oriented programming or things with certain discrete structures. And this allows you to do these operations now in regex rules. And it looks a little bit like this. So you have a difference or subtraction, you say like A, but not B, and then you have intersection, and then you know these pattern a little bit already from other concepts, like when you have bit masks, for example. It's a little bit similar, and then you can do crazy things with regex that usually would require much more complex writing, but you can now do this with these little operators. I don't say it makes it easier to comprehend, but it will make things hopefully a little bit more readable and comprehensible. These are the three main things to know and to take away. And if you're more interested in what comes next, then you should read up the article. It's full of much more information, how it came to this point, and what's already in the loop for the next ECMA changes in 2025, what are new proposals, and so on. But these three are the main bullets that we should keep our eye on for the next month.
Awesome.
All right. Speaking of what comes next, React 19 is coming on. So we already spent some time in the past talking about it, and we'll probably have more as it release candidates come in. But this week, we've got the results of State of React for 2023. You can also engage with Sasha, the author of the survey, on the Meteor forums, as he is a past Meteor user. And you can also delve into the results. One thing that I think is interesting to highlight among all the issues, not here on the screen, but if you go through it, one of the pain points was one of the new stuff, which are the React server components, which really come into play with React 19. So there seems to be a little bit of a increasing split in the React community going on between people who do all the Next and Vercel stuff with server components, all the stuff, and people like us here at Meteor who stick with the single page app applications. Let us know if you would like us to do a more of a deep dive and offer our opinions on these results and maybe learn something new about React. So let us know in the comments or on the forums. And I also found very quickly from Sasha post on Dev that about what's coming up for this year for the state of surveys. So it will start next month in August with state of CSS, then continue September with state of HTML, October with state of React, and finally in November finishing up with state of JavaScript. So 4 surveys coming up probably very soon.
Yes, and if you like these information and you want to keep getting updated, especially on things like these, smash the like button, and then that would be the subscription. Oh my God! But if you like the information, then you smash the like button. Oh my God, today is crazy.
Well, let's get to some direct Meteor news. Jan?
Yes, let me jump right into it. We have a few upcoming news. Actually, let me just get this up for a moment. Meteor community packages. So we communicated with Rikes and sorted out permissions. So packages like GroundDB got updates, but that might be mute point. More on that, Jan will talk about later. But yes, so we have all that sorted. So GroundDB got an updated version, and other React packages are likely to have updates soon. Now then to what I was showing here, we have two big discussions, you could say, going on. The first one here we have from Vani Lecroart, apologies for messing that in, talking about kind of renaming the packages and getting everything under a single namespace. So either MCP, or we have also Meteor, we have community packages, namespace, and all that stuff. So let us know on the forums, what do you think about that? And following on that, more about the future of Meteor and for the things to come, we have about, very properly named Make Meteor Great Again. Again, from Vinny to kind of start off. And this discussion is to really take us about what should really Meteor be about, what should be the central message, what should be the central focus. So now, especially now that we are kind of sorted out with all the different technical issues that were holding us back, and we have multitudes of ways where to go, might be a good idea to kind of have a big discussion of what is the kind of the central goal, what will be the central message. And of course, we have, let's say, the biggest talk is about going kind of back to the roots and being more opinionated framework, and instead of kind of being more modular and more open. So highly recommend everybody to jump in on this discussion, at least read it so that you know what people are talking about and what's probably going to be an increasing discussion until we have probably some resolution with Meteor software on what it's going to be. So we have what? Increasing number of years. So definitely check this out because this is going to be quite important. And so far, as compared to some of the past, it has stayed remarkably on topic. So looking forward where this is going to go. Speaking of where things are going to go, we have Meteor 3.0.2 patch release. Hopefully coming out today, or given that there's been quite a few new things popping up, I expect it to probably land early next week as well. Right now, it's just fixing up a few bugs, but if we look on the milestone, there is a few more things, and hopefully maybe there will be also updates to Node to 2016. That all remains to be seen, but keep an eye out on it, especially if you had any issues with Meteor 3 that were in the core, not with the packages. Then that might be good to kind of see if your issue has been fixed or not. And another news, we have Galaxy version on version 2, which also has databases. There's a new dashboard that shows the metrics from the database, so you can more and better analyze what's happening with your integrated database there. So no reason to kind of switch to version 2 of Galaxy, especially if you start using their integrated MongoDB. And finally, or not finally, but at least for my part of the news, we have the Renaissance of Meteor. That's July 29 to August 1st. So next week, full of events. You can sign up on their special website. It will be starting on Monday, July 29th, with the state of meteor.js in 2024, which is very interesting because on Monday I'll also be doing stream about how far we are with Meteor 3 so far since the release. So good coincidence. On Tuesday, the talk is going to be talking about understand the potential of the platform. So going a bit more in depth with Meteor. Wednesday, we'll have focus about Galaxy. And on Thursday, August 1st, there's going to be chat with the Meteor team. I believe that's going to be on the official Discord. Yes. So yeah, that will be on the official Discord. So be sure to join that as well.
Excellent. Sounds like we've got a lot going on. So, Kuster, what else is happening? It sounds like there's quite a bit going on in Meteor World this week. Do you have something else to report?
So we not only have the Meteor 3 release, but we also have the Blaze 3 release. And many of the people that came from the early days of Meteor that may still use Blaze or should be aware of that. This has mostly compatibility upgrades, but also a few performance upgrades. And finally, the full integration of all the async compatibility, hopefully to write as much as isomorphic code as possible. And this is also the new beginning for Blaze's future, which we will have to discuss as a community. There's still lots of stuff to be done in Blaze for the future, to get rid of jQuery, for example, as a dependency, but also to see how Blaze still fits modern ecosystem JavaScript development. And this is not a closed book. This is just opening a new page, a new chapter. And everyone who is using Blaze, please comment on that, and please show that you're here, that you're using Blaze, because we did a few short surveys in the community in the past, and we found that still many users use Blaze. Please get in touch on the forum topic, and let's shape the future of Blaze together.
Excellent. And go ahead. Yeah, there's something else, that another little bit of information, right? Good stuff.
I think this is even not a little bit of information. This might be bigger. Sure. But I will not cover it in too much detail, because I hope the Jam offline package, I hope that Jam will be our guest in the future to talk a little bit more about his packages. But this is great because, as you heard from Jan earlier, there will be a GroundDB update. But actually, if you use GroundDB, this might be most useful for you, because this should be the easiest and most up-to-date integration for offline in Meteor with very few config. And I love that Jam packages follow this zero config approach that makes Meteor so great. Just to give you, without going too much into detail, give you a quick think about, if you want to do offline support in your app, you have to consider so many things on your own. You have to do all this data syncing, connection checking, maybe working with service workers, caching, whatever things there are. And it's great to have a package that does that for you. So check out the package. Shout out to Jam again for providing another groundbreaking package to the community, and showing that there is still lots of potential in the Meteor community with packages to do something that's breaking forward, that pushing the limits a little bit more forward.
Yeah, I want to
go ahead.
I just want to quickly add here that I've talked with Jam, and we'll probably archive and deprecate GroundDB in favor of this package, especially as I have more of a chance to explore it and figure out how everything works there.
What I was going to say, though, is, and that's a great thing, by the way. What I was going to say is this is really terrific, because Jam's been releasing a number of different packages over the last year, and it's wonderful to see members of the community who are so prolific and are contributing back to the community. So I want to just say thank you for that enthusiasm for Meteor and also for making these contributions. And we have a couple of other community members that have been adding things recently too. So we're hoping to see them on the program also as we go forward in the future to not only talk about the work that they've been doing, but also share with everyone the packages that they've released so that you can use them for yourselves and you can understand how you can benefit from them. And I want to just say, by the way, thank you all for subscribing to the channel. Please, for those of you who have not yet done so, please subscribe to the channel and help us get to 300 subscribers. Right now, we're at 245. We're close to our goal of 250. We'd like to get to our stretch goal of 300. So please, continue doing it. Thank you, guys. And we've got some packages now. We're going to move on to the packages section of our program.
I have found one very interesting notice of an update of a package that I didn't know existed, because I thought everything was going through API calls. But there is an OpenAI node package which just released version 4.53, which also adds in the new GPT-4o mini models. So if you are into OpenAI and want to use it in your applications and everything, there is an official node package which should allow you to relay, not just in Node, but apparently also in Dino, so you can access things and work with OpenAI much faster and probably easier than just through the API endpoints.
So this is not a Meteor specific package, correct? This is anybody can use it in any node application. Real
Correct.
Good. All right. And speaking of packages, before this next one that I'm talking about is a Meteor specific package. We have a user in the community. His name is Zayed Hosni, who has looked at the pre-rendering that we have and has not been satisfied with it. Created a forum post titled "New Pre-rendering Option for MeteorJS," built with MeteorJS. So it's pre-rendering for, built with. And I'm going to just quote quickly from his website for the product itself. It's a product called Page Replica. And Page Replica enhances your website by pre-rendering, caching, and serving static versions of your pages. It ensures accurate indexing by search engines and properly displays in social media posts, improving visibility and performance regardless of your site's technology. Currently, it's free to use with 5,000 pre-rendering requests per month. You could check it out at on the web at page-replica.com. And Zayed will be joining us in a future episode, and we'll be going deeper into this, and hopefully he'll be doing a demo of how to use it in your Meteor application or with your Meteor application. So Zayed, thank you so much for doing this. This looks awesome, and we're looking forward to learning even more about it. For those of you who are interested, go check it out, sign up for it, give it a try, and then tell us what you think. That'd be great to know. And with that, I think we're going to move on to some tutorials in the news, right, that people can benefit from.
Yes, I have found this very interesting tutorial. If you have issues with performance, which once you start scaling, you'll probably find there's a practical guide to not blocking the event loop. So you should all know that event loop is how not just JavaScript, but also Node does their main work. So as you can see over here with the waterfall, and so this tutorial kind of goes through what is this all about, and how to improve things, and hopefully become more performant. So definitely check it out, just also to kind of deepen your understanding of this entire thing that's kind of always there in the background, and you don't normally notice it until it's too late.
Cool. Did you find that this was easy to read and grasp? in terms of the concepts that it was trying to share?
I would say overall, yes, but I'm not sure if I'm good indicator. I'm still kind of really learning more about this as things goes, and these images kind of help a lot to kind of get the points across.
That's pretty awesome. I have a related tutorial to share also, along the same lines. It's titled Better Ways to Use Async Functions in JavaScript. It's written by Aditya Bhattad on Dev2O. If I've mispronounced your name, I apologize profusely. I'm trying my best with it. But it's an article that focuses on the 3 promise methods that, if you grasp these and understand it, it's supposed to help you write better code. And he gives some code examples along the way that focuses on promise.all, promise all settled, and promise.race as the 3 methods that are of interest. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about promise.all. It's, from his perspective, you can use this to transform sequential to concurrent execution patterns to make your code, much much better in terms of its performance. So take a look at the article, see if it speaks to you. If it helps you write better async code, then there you go. And I hope that was useful. I don't want to go too much into it because we've got other things to take care of. One other article I want to point out, because sometimes I feel this way, and I think there are others out there that feel this way, is, if you're feeling that you have some kind of imposter syndrome regarding your grasp of JavaScript, and I know that from time to time with the new releases that come out, there has been changes in the way the syntax works, and sometimes I look at most modern JavaScript and it looks a little odd to me. There's an article called How to Learn JavaScript Step-by-Step Guide for Beginners by David Watson from the WebStorm blog. And he provides a comprehensive visual map that you can use to guide you in terms of, taking a look at where you think you might not be strong. So, Jan, is it possible for you to scroll up so that we could see where this diagram is in this article? So I think this is a big feature. This is the one right here. So if we can blow that up a little bit, maybe we can just see some, elements of it. It's got sort of a path through on concepts, and then the related concepts that are attached to each of them, the main topic concepts. And so I found that this is a very helpful visual guide to thinking about some of the concepts that are related to JavaScript, to kind of figure out where my holes are, and then to go back and try to fill in where I might have a knowledge gap. So if you find this useful, I hope you do, then check out the article, and, that's it. That's all I've got on that. All right. So, okay, guys. And what do we got next? Oh, now we're getting to the main deal here, which is some live coding. This is our Understanding JavaScript section. I got to do a little setup here because our Understanding JavaScript section is sponsored by Galaxy. And Galaxy is offering $60 worth of credits if you sign up with them. If you haven't benefited from this before, you can go in. And the link down here on the scroll will take you to a landing page that will share with you. As a matter of fact, you know what? There is a little more something than this that we did last week, and I should do again because this is part of it. The Galaxy offer is right here. So that's where Galaxy is. And if you take the link, it'll take you to a landing page, and the landing page, it'll come up in a second, has an area where you can put in the coupon code that we have shown you just now in the scroll down below. So anyway, with that, I'm going to move forward here and let Jan do his thing.
Yeah, you did, Jan, but I'm quickly going to separate it. I apologize. I have to
Jan, I think your
run for
microphone
another
is now.
engagement. So
yeah. So now you can hear me, right? Hello?
Yeah, we can
What's
hear
going
you.
on?
We can hear you.
Sorry, okay, so now let's start. So today we're continuing the Meteor Vue 3 Vite and Tailwind tutorial, this time focusing on the back end. And if you don't know what part 1 is, then you can check out our video section, because in part 1, latest 3.0.1 skeleton of Vue 3. And coming from there, we will have some topics to cover in order to get to a Linktree clone. If you don't know what Linktree is, that is it's a web application that allows you to build some URLs with some titles and then have all your links listed on one page. And then you can share this page with everyone you know in social media, or like we do in our YouTube videos description, and have them all summarized, and you can watch in your analytics backend later on who's clicking which links. You can create a few things like I forgot the name of this, but you can do a lot of them with them. Okay, and today we will have a few key takeaways and objectives to cover here. That is the overall architecture of the project, coming from the created plain boilerplate. We will add some Meteor methods, we will add some Meteor publications, and we also will do some kind of a validation code. And if you can follow me until here, then let me quickly open my IDE and show you again the newly created project I have here. So I called this space links to have the Meteor and spacey theme a little bit going on. And we have mostly the boilerplate here. I didn't change anything. I just created that as you would do when you're following the previous tutorial. And we have a folder with client code. That's the entry point for the client. We have an imports folder where shared code, but also shared templates for the client are in. And the nice thing about the boilerplate is that it's using some kind of links. And this is very close to what we do with our Linktree clone. And then we have a server entry point called main. And before going deeper into this, there is the app is running here. I just entered the folder and entered the Meteor command, and then I can access this on localhost 3000. And then you can see here, this is the boilerplate code you know from all the Meteor apps. And today, as I said, we just want to change or update things in the backend. And in order to do that, let's first go into the main entry point of the backend, which is the server/main.js file. Let's open this and take a look into this file. And then you can see here the boilerplate code that Meteor created for you with Meteor create. And I want to change that a little bit and remove all this, because we will have it entirely different. But I will keep this links collection because I want to import that file. So now it looks like this: imports API links. This is the file I want to import. And in this file, I will also remove some of the boilerplate code here. But I will not remove everything. So give me a second, and then you will understand what I'm doing here. So first of all, I remove the publication because we want to do it a little bit differently. But we want to keep the collection actually, but we don't want to export it. What I'm going to do is I'm creating a new object that we want to export. So I'm writing export const links, and this is a new object. And this links object will get a new property called collection. And from here, this is a function that will always resolve to this links collection. So anyone outside want to get to the collection always has to call this method. And because we will import links on the server and on the client, we will have this collection here, this links collection, being created on the server and the client. And this is most important later on to get Meteor automatically publish, subscribe the documents between the server and the client collection. So this is the first thing I have the collection here. And the next thing is now we want to have some methods on the server in order to let users on their front end create new links, update links, delete links, or read links. And this is often summarized as CRUD. Create, update, create, read, update, delete, right? And we will implement this using Meteor methods. And I'm creating a new object on links for this. It's called links.methods. And then I'm implementing a new method for the create part, links.method create link. And this will be an async function implementing that method. And then there will be another method. I'm zooming in a little bit. Update link. And this is also an async function that will implement this. There will be a method, link.methods.remove link. This is also an async method. Well, let's name it delete so we're consistent with the naming. Delete link. And then there's links.methods.read links. And now I'm saying read links because this method will later on be used to get all the links from a user when watching the Linktree page of this specific user. In that case, our links we created. Because anyone should read our links, so there must be an endpoint where this person or this page fetches all the links for this person. And now there's one feature in Meteor that allows you to make this even more performant on the client, and this is optimistic UI. Optimistic UI will create a stubed or like a simulated version of this method on the client, so and estimate the most probable outcome of the method, and immediately display the result on the client, and only revert that if the server actually responded differently. And we can do that. We can use that feature only if we create Meteor methods on the server and the client. So we pass these links.methods object we created to Meteor methods, and because we will import this file on the server and the client, it will create both these methods on the server and the stub versions on the client. Okay, but now we also need to implement these methods, right? And in order to do that, we start with create link. And consider this Linktree app, we want to create a simple Linktree clone. I don't want to create a full app here. I mean, that would exceed any exceed all the limits we have in terms of time and content. We want to only add links with a title and a URL, obviously. And before passing them into the database, we will have to validate them, of course, right? So let's say we only want to use Meteor built-ins. Then there is a package for that to validate our inputs, and this is called the check package. And you can use many libraries out there. You can use ZOD, Yup, Joy, Simple Schema, AJV, and so on. But we want to keep it with the internals of what Meteor has to offer, and there is this check package. So you import check and match from meteor/check. And with that, you can validate an input. You can even validate this anywhere in your application, but it's mostly useful for checking things like a URL, that it's a string, and that our title is also a string. Okay. Coming from here, we want to insert this link into the database. So we could return links collection dot insert async, and then the URL and the title. There's one thing missing here, and this is we have to associate this with a certain user. And this is a great thing about Meteor's account package. So if I'm adding Meteor accounts to the list of my packages, which I can do here in .meteor packages, I could easily add accounts password. And while I'm saving this file, it's adding the packages, as you can see here in the console. It allows me to link the current user that is calling that method from the client using the user ID from the function this context. And this allows me to associate the link with the current user that has updated this link. So now we implemented our first method. It's creating a link, giving a URL and a title for the current user. And there is some error. And this error comes from because the main module is some reloading, something that I missed here. Let me quickly check on that. Create link, cannot set properties of other files, create link, links, and the 16. Oh, yeah, I just missed. So a typo. And again, it's a typo error. Happens quite a lot. So don't worry, if it happens to you, it happens to everyone. And coming from here, let's say we have implemented this method to create a new link. We also want to implement a method to update a link. And if you are familiar with how Meteor method works, then this is pretty straightforward. But for those who don't know, every document that is inserted in the database will get an ID value assigned. And if you want to update this document, you will have to pass in this _ID value. So the collection can look up the correct document in order to update. And then again, because we only have two properties to update, it's either URL or title or both. We again can use the code from above here, check the URL, the title, but we also want to check that the given ID is a string. And we also need, again, the user ID. So I'm just copying this and entering here. So this makes sure that not anyone is updating this document by ID, but it's actually only the user that owns this document, because we have associated user ID with this document. So both things must match. It must be the current user that updates this document and not anyone. And with this combination, it's already some kind of not only a validation, but also an integrity check that this document belongs to the user. And we can do this by creating the query. It's _ID and user ID. So only the current user's document gets updated. And then we want to create a mutator document. Mutate equals new object. I'm zooming a little bit in for you. And then because we want to set things, it's using the $set operator from to tell MongoDB to update the values. And if we have given the URL, because I said it's optional. So if there's a URL, then mutate.$set.url is the URL. And we do the same for title. Just copy the line and replace these things. So because maybe you only want to update the URL, maybe you only want to update the title, maybe you want to update both. One thing is missing here, and that is the validation would immediately throw using this if one of both is not given. So we use match, that's part of this check library, and say match.maybe string. Then it will not throw in case one of them is not there. So, and then finally, if we build the query and the mutate document, then we need to return links collection dot update async, and then query and the mutate document. This is our update function. Coming from there, we also need a function to delete links, of course. Maybe there will be the time that you don't want this link anymore, you want to drop it, and then you need to be able to delete it. Easy thing, adding an ID. the ID is never optional. Oh, sorry, I just realized that this one is wrong. The URL should be optional and the ID should be mandatory. Sorry for that. So, and then in the delete link, it's the same. The ID is mandatory. Again, we need the current user ID from the person or from the client that called this method. And then we simply call the delete method, which is for MongoDB, it's not called delete, but remove async. And then our selector is the given ID and the user ID. So we can make sure that only the user that owns this document can also delete this document. And of course, there might be already the question, but what do I do if there is someone owning a group of users or is an admin? This is not covered in this tutorial, but maybe in the future part of this tutorial series. There are great packages out there, help us to implement these fine-grained permissions like A-landing roles, which we already covered also in another tutorial. And let's keep it simple at that point, because we really want to build something that keeps being comprehensible for you. Okay, so there's one thing that is missing, and that is the read links. And I found another thing that you should think about. So some of you might have detected already that I'm using this user ID destructuring from the this context. But at the same time, I'm using an async arrow function. This will not work out because the arrow function don't have a this context. If you don't know what this is about, you should use, for example, MDN and read a little bit about function this context and arrow functions. Then you will see that there will never be a user ID of this context inside this arrow function. So we need to remove the arrow function again and really name it the classic way using function. Sorry for that. I missed that in the beginning, but it's also a good example how this can happen to any one of us. And I'm just live fixing this to make it work out later. And then, of course, for the read links function, we do that as well. And now there's one thing in the read links function. I'm passing something called username. And now you might question, why passing a username here? When I'm opening Linktree, then I'm usually opening something like locals 3000 and then add MeteorJS community. And I want to get all the links from this user. So this user has to register with a certain username that will be used as their own at username handle. And this page to list all the links from this user will actually call this method read links given this username. So we will have to check if username is a string, and we also have to check if the user that we are asking the strings for actually exists. So we have to use the built-in meteor.users accounts package, the accounts package, in order to find the user. And we can do that by using await accounts find user by username. This is a built-in method from Meteor accounts that allows us to just pass in the username, and they will resolve this for us. And we could now throw an error, but I don't want to open the possibility for someone to just sniff through the database and find all the usernames. There should be a different way of checking for the users, for example, when registering. That needs to be rate limited and so on. But in this case, we just want to return an empty array of links when the user does not exist. That should be fine for here. So it's ambiguous if the user does not exist or if this user just has no links. But if the user exists, we want to return the result of what the links collection actually finds. And this is for, we need the user ID. And in Meteor, we can get the user ID from user._ID. And then, because we don't return a cursor, but we want to return the actual links, we need to call this fetch async. And if the user does not exist, we simply return an array. This is our methods implementation for the full backend. And building on top of these methods, the next episodes will completely build on top of that. There's one thing missing, and I'm briefly talking about this, but it's really important. When I'm a user and I'm updating my links, I want to get a live update on the client that the link is updated or created or deleted. And this is where Meteor publications are strong. This is giving us these live updates. And I'm creating a publication for that that's easily called on the client later on. So I'm branching in the same file if Meteor is a server, and then I'm creating a publication, Meteor publish, let's call it my links, because this will be only valuable for the current user, because that will be part of our links editor. And what we're doing is, in this publication, we again destructuring the user ID, which is why we have to use this async function instead of an arrow function. We just simply return to the client all the documents that links collection can find by the given user ID. So with this, we've built the entire backend for our Linktree clone. And considering what we're trying to achieve here, this is pretty straightforward. It's about 50 lines of code. That's not very much, but we already implemented most of the functionality we need to build a full working Linktree clone. And coming from here, I'm giving you a very small outlook on what comes next. In the next episode, we will use this backend and create some Vue templates, some Vue routes, and integrate them with these backends, with these Meteor methods, and also create a new a login form, because of course we need some registered users to create and update these links. And be prepared, and I hope that you like this tutorial, and hope to see you next week for the upcoming follow-up episode. Thank you for that. And with that, I'm giving back to Alim and Jan with the post-show update. Thank you. Alim, you're muted. Alim, you're still muted.
I am muted. I didn't realize that. You know, I was listening to my voice. I was thinking just how fine it was, and everybody must be hearing the same thing, but that's not true. It's all happening in my head. In any case, Jan had to run off and deal with another obligation. He was trying to say so earlier in the program, but we were running back and forth again. Hey, Gabs. So he is, I'm getting some response to my talking without actually having my voice come through. All right. In any case, I'm really happy that we've had a lot of folks here today in the chat. We've had Fred, the CEO of Meteor Software, here with us. We have Gabs, who is the developer advocate. Kelly has been back here again. We've had German Jan. Well, this is the second German Jan. This is Jan P. How are you, Jan? Simon, who hails from Africa and is always here. Great to see him again. I just want to shout out and say hello to everybody. Camilla, who's on the Meteor Software team, was also here today. We have a new person goes by Darkside Editions. I don't know, and he was in the middle of a conversation. Francois Lecroart. Again, I'm making mistakes with people's names. I'm sure. I apologize for that. Zaid Hosni, who we talked about the package that, or the application that he built, he said that he may be able to put that into a package, which would be great. So Zaid, glad that you were able to join us. And Astor Silva, who's been with us a few times, and one of my old colleagues, Henrique, who is also on the Meteor team. So guys, thank you so much for stopping by today. Really appreciate you all being here and being loyal and faithful to the channel. We do this for you. We hope that you get some benefit out of it. I'm going to make my little pitch about open source software. Just be kind to your open source software developers. If there's any project, doesn't have to be Meteor, that you think that you benefit from, and they have a GitHub page, go over there, give them a star. If there's anything else that they're looking for, try to meet them where they are, and see what you can do to help them out. The more we can encourage open source developers to continue their craft and let them know that they're appreciated, the more likely it is that we're going to continue to get amazing software from these developers. So with that, I do want to just mention that next week, among other things, we're going to be going over the Stack Overflow developer survey results. And Jan, if there is nothing more that you want to add, yes, no? Okay. I'm going to wish you all a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Take care now.
See you
Bye.
next week.